All right, hey Asheville, my name is Jonathan Wainscott. I'm running for mayor of Asheville, and I just wanted to share with you something that was suggested at City Council a few weeks ago about a few things that we could do to help clean up our city. One is the suggestion of putting sharps containers around downtown, and the other is the allowance of camping inside city limits. So here's a look at what that suggestion looked like, and I'll let you know what I think about those two issues.
This is Kim. While we're having this conversation about what was going to lead forward to the retreat, I just want to remind that there are sharps containers that are small enough they can fit on our city trash and recycling facilities. When we're doing community neighborhood cleanups, for example, I've participated in my neighborhood. If you don't have somewhere to put the waste, then it will not have a place to be. So it would be great if we had an infrastructure that is doable and that we intend to maintain. So I would like to consider more sharps containers and a plan to maintain them.
All right, first on the idea of putting sharps containers downtown for the city of Asheville to pay for that. No, we're not going to do that when it comes to an issue of needles inside people's bodies. That's a health concern, and that is in the wheelhouse of the county. And the city of Asheville shan't be paying for that. I would also look at the practicality of sharps containers and the needle exchange programs that we have tried. And I do not believe that we have the support of state and federal law to be able to provide any kind of safe injection sites here in the community. Again, that would also be the purview of the county, not the city of Asheville. Once a clean needle leaves a facility, whether it's a bookstore or the Department of Health or a pharmacy, and enters into the community, it stays a clean needle until it is used. If it is used for intravenous drug use, then what you have is a dirty needle immediately. The ultimate fate of a clean needle is to become a dirty needle. And when that happens with somebody who's using heroin and whatever combinations of drugs are out there, the onset is immediate. So you're talking about somebody who takes a clean needle and then injects with heroin, and in a minute that person is under the influence of heroin. And apparently this is the moment in which this person is going to start making responsible choices or is somehow enlightened to do so. In the care of somebody on heroin is a dirty needle. And so that person is not going to foster it well, perhaps very likely would like to use it again or give it away. And any kind of barcoding system or any kind of complex retrieval system in order to get the needle, you need to return the needle, isn't going to work. And going downtown and putting sharps containers downtown, I would like to ask the business owners that have trash cans overflowing already with garbage and probably have to maintain the outside of their property more so than they used to already, where these recycling cans and trash cans are around town, which businesses are going to be willing to have those sharps containers in front of their businesses. I would ask anybody on city council and anybody on city staff that supports this, if you want to do this, then you need to be willing to put a sharps container on, the post by your porch or your mailbox or on your front door or something like that. So if you're going to do that, then maybe it could be considered, but not until. I'd also consider the unbelievably easy way in which they can be vandalized or maybe secured by putting the nozzle of the spray foam stuff that fills cracks and gaps and expands, and then somebody who doesn't want it there has destroyed it amazingly easily. And we're not going to waste our money, we're not going to put on the liability, and we're not going to take this approach in harm reduction when we don't have the support around that activity to make it work. So I don't support that at all.
Additionally, if we had a place for legal camping to get from where we are to where we're going, that would be temporary with staff and infrastructure to support it, then we could diversify our public safety response for the benefit of all of our staff, residents, and visitors. Well, Missoula, Montana is doing that. So I would like for us to look at the Missoula, Montana model, see what kind of data they're getting out of the legal temporary camping facility with bathrooms, laundry, transportation, staffing, et cetera.
Now, camping inside city limits. I used to think that this was kind of a cool idea. I started looking at areas around the French Broad River and found out that the property lines of properties adjacent to the river, they're lines. And if the river doesn't reach that line, that embankment, that easement is not given to the property owner. You can be on the side of the river and drink beer. You don't just have to be in your boat. You can't be on somebody else's property, and you can't cross somebody else's property to get to the French Broad River. But if you go at a public access and you're hanging out and you want to glamp somewhere along the French Broad River, you're allowed to. It's a little bit of a no man's land. It's not owned by anybody. It's not the city property. It's not county property. It's not private property. It's just nature next to the river. So if you're out there with a tent and your Columbia gear and whatnot, camping, little hipster in-city camping, why couldn't, we have more manicured space outside for the homeless and perhaps use our parks after dark? It's got paved access, it's got security, it's got lighting, it's got running water, and all of the necessities for basic shelter. It's city owned and could be city managed. And guess what? We just don't have the money for that. We don't have the money to take care of the parks that we already have. Even though we've passed a bunch of bonds, and some parks have been improved, some have not. At our regular, normal operating capacity for a park. So we can't expand the utility of the park without having any kind of funding to do that. And the repercussions of serving this community of homelessness, the homeless who are addicted to drugs, have mental injuries, and on top of also more drugs, we are not going to accommodate that. If you're going to accommodate that at your own house, that's fine. If you have your own house and you have your own rules, of course you do. You would probably want your neighbors to have similar rules, but it's none of your business. But if your neighbor is housing a bunch of people and letting camping going on in that backyard, I think that you have a right and reason to be concerned about that activity. And so the city of Asheville isn't going to be that neighbor for the entire region and offer everything under the sun. Besides the fact that we can't afford it, we can't afford to help Spartanburg, South Carolina, Anderson, South Carolina, and Johnson City, Tennessee, and anywhere else in the region, because we're the people that have the services, because we care so much, and then sink our own ship doing so. So it's not a matter of a lack of morality. It's not an enemy of the houseless or the homeless. It's our lack of ability to be able to provide all of the things for all of the people. And that's just life. And part of life is when you live in a city or you live in this world, you will probably come across somebody who is unsavory and out of their mind and no place to go. And hopefully we can reduce that here in that experience, but you're probably going to experience that. So, being anti-homeless, it could also be said we're going to end homelessness. Yeah, anti-homeless. I would like it to not happen. I would like it to not be here. I would like it not to threaten the rest of our community. I would hope that these people can find the help that they need. Housing first isn't going to work. If it's housing first and everything else later, after the fact, we're going to figure it out, then, we're going to be housing people who are going to fail because that happens. So those are my stances on these issues, and hopefully, they'll already be resolved before I become mayor, because that that's on the table now, and that's what I would support. That's my stance now, and the direction I think that Asheville should be taking in dealing with these problems. All right, thank you for listening. Jonathan Wainscott, Asheville City Mayor, 2022. Hey, I'm last on the ballot, but I hope that you're first. I get your first vote. Whatever. Ask Gwen about what that tagline. I'm taking it, Gwen. You're leaving. Sorry. All right. Jonathan Wainscott for Mayor of Asheville, 2022. Thanks for listening.